What if I tell you just one small cable company from 1970s completely changed how the world watches television? And that's even before Netflix, Disney Plus, and even before streaming even existed. And there was just one company that believed people would pay for better stories. Any guesses? Hello everyone, welcome to Ranjan Batra Tech Talks, and today we are going to talk about a company that revolutionized how world watches TV, and that company is HBO. Today, HBO is a symbol of quality and a hub of great world famous episodes like Game of Thrones, The Last of Us, Chernobyl, A Succession, and dozens of shows that changed culture forever. Behind all that success is a story of bold decisions, massive failures, and one simple belief that great storytelling is worth fighting for. And this is how HBO changed television forever. We will talk about the entire story in this video. So let's start with how it all began. It all began with a man called Charles Donnell, a visionary entrepreneur based out of Cleveland who moved to New York City just with a dream to bring television into people's home in a brand new way. And in the late 1960s, most TV in America was free, local, and filled with commercial. You didn't choose what to watch, you watched whatever was on. And there was only a very few channels, all broadcasting through antennas, and the picture quality was often terrible. And that's where Charles Donnell sees some potential. He saw something very different. He believed that someday television would be delivered through cables, offering clearer quality and much more choices to the people. And he believed people would be willing to pay for that freedom. And that was the foundation of HBO. It sounded crazy at that time, but that did not stop him. With support from Time Incorporation, Donnell launched the home box office, which we know today as HBO, and that was in 1972. It was all based in New York City, and the idea that he had was very simple: to show uncut movies, live sports, and entertainment, all without the ads, and have a very small monthly fees for all of this. At that time, the idea of paying for TV was unheard of, but Donald, he believed people would pay not for more TV but for a better TV. And HBO's first broadcast aired on November 8th, 1972, a hockey game that was between New York Rangers and Vancouver Canucks, and that followed by the movie Sometimes a Great Notion. It reached just 325 homes in Pennsylvania. Small, quiet, but history was being made, because what came next could completely transform television. Before HBO, every television signal came from a local tower, and that means your favorite shows only reached your region, and broadcasts were often delayed or limited. TV was local, not national. But in 1975, HBO did something nobody had ever done before, and that's how it became the first television network in history to broadcast nationwide via satellite. For the first time ever, people across the entire United States could watch the same live program at the same moment. And just like that, HBO turned from a small regional experiment to a nationwide revolution. And that moment didn't just change HBO, it changed the future of broadcasting itself. Every cable network, every satellite feed, every streaming service today owes something to that single leap. Through the 1980s and 1990s, HBO kept evolving. It wasn't just showing movies anymore, it just created its own shows. And those shows didn't just entertain, they defined television. The Sopranos changed how dramas were written. The Wire showed that television could be raw, political, and chaotic. Sex and the City became a global phenomenon. And these were not just shows, they were cultural events that defined HBO's journey. And that's when HBO's new identity was born. It's not TV, it's HBO. That line wasn't just marketing, It was a declaration. HBO wasn't trying to be a television, it was trying to be something better. But like every great story, there was a plot twist. When streaming arrived, the world changed again. People no longer waited for the show. They wanted everything on demand. Netflix, Disney, and Amazon stormed in with billions of dollars and new technology. HBO, the king of premium television, suddenly had to learn a new game. It launched HBO Go, HBO Now, and then HBO Max. Each was a step forward, but also a sign of confusion for the audience. Even loyal fans didn't know which app to use. And then came the most surprising move of all. HBO dropped its own name, rebranding simply to Max. It was meant to sound broader, but instead it lost the one word that meant trust. For a while, it felt like HBO had lost its voice in the noise. But HBO did not disappear, because this company has something most don't: resilience. Even through all the chaos, HBO kept doing what it does best: telling stories that move people. Chernobyl, Euphoria, Succession, The Last of Us, shows that were not just popular, they were powerful. They reminded the world that HBO does not chase trends. It builds world that stays with you. While others flooded the internet with endless content, HBO focused on one thing: emotion. Because people forget what they watch but never forget what they feel. Now HBO turns at another turning point: the age of AI. Its parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery, is experimenting with AI to help localize content, recommend shows, and make production smoother. But here's what makes HBO different: it refuses to let AI replace the human touch. As HBO's leadership also said, AI can help us tell stories, but it will never be the storyteller. AI can find the best clips, generate subtitles, even translate voices, but it can't feel heartbreak, love, or hope. Because great stories don't come from data, they come from the human touch. So now, with all of this story, the question is, where is HBO today? Still here, still strong, still chasing the next great story. It's competing with the biggest companies in the world and still holding. The story of HBO isn't just about the television. It's about believing in a dream when everyone says it is almost impossible. And it's about daring to change an entire industry, not by following trends, but trusting the creativity process. And from one man's vision in New York to 325 homes in Pennsylvania to millions of screens across the world, HBO's journey is proof that greatness does not start big. It starts with just one bold idea and the courage to see it through. So if you have ever had an idea people did not believe in, if you have been told that it will never work, remember this story of HBO. Because once upon a time, a man named Charles Donnell had an idea just like that, and it changed the world forever. Let me know what you think. Will AI be replacing the HBO, or even the streaming services be replacing the HBO? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And for more such videos, keep sharing, subscribe, and follow Ranjan Batra Tech Talks. See you in the next video.